Hi everybody, this is Kaylin here at Full Purpose and Heart, and in this video I wanted to share with you 7 things that you can put in your preschool teacher's toolbox, just some tools or some manipulatives that you can have on hand when you're teaching young learners, so preschool, kindergarten aged kiddos, and just some fun activities that you can do with simple household items. So if you're interested in some of these toolbox items, let's go ahead and get started. So, if you are new to my channel, again, my name is Kaylin and welcome over to Full Purpose at Heart. As a brief introduction, I have been teaching school for about 13 years and 4 of those years have been preschool students. I also am a homeschooler and have 3 kids of my own, so teaching is really in my blood and I've just really enjoyed teaching my children and then also teaching preschool and other kids as well. So, over the course of these several years of teaching, I have accumulated a couple of things that I think are really great to have in your toolbox if you are going to try and teach young learners. Whether they are your own children or you are a preschool or a daycare or some other learning center, these are some things that can be helpful when you're teaching any kind of young learner, either alphabet or numbers or phonics rules, sequence learning, stories, all of that kind of good young learning stuff. So again, I have 7, so I'm going to briefly explain them and kind of run through them quickly so that this video isn't an hour long. So we'll try and do this quickly and hopefully you will find something that is helpful that you don't already have or you haven't thought of using, and you'll be able to kind of use that in your schoolroom, all right? So in no particular order, let's start with these bingo markers. If you have not seen or heard of these bingo markers, you need to get yourself a set of them. I purchased the Do a Dot brand and I buy these at Michael's with their coupon. They always have a 40% off coupon and occasionally you can get 50% off, which make these markers super affordable. You get 6 of them in a kit. Some of their kits have only 5 colors, but I always look for the 6 color kit and they have like bright colors and sparkly colors, and I can't remember. I think there's 3 or 4 different kits that you can purchase. So I have 2 of them. This is just their standard color kit, and you can use these for all kinds of fun activities, not just like painting art. I only use them actually for like school learning centers where the students have to like, for example, if we're learning the letter A, then I will have an activity where there will be capital A's and lowercase a's. I call the activity a Spot It, Dot It activity. They're all over Teachers Pay Teachers. If you want to purchase some of those, you can make your own if you are crafty on the computer, but you give your student 2 colors and then the capital letter, you say find all the capital letters and put them in this color, all the lowercase letters go in the second color, and it's that letter recognition. Also, you can do like mystery pictures where they have the number 4s are blue, the number 3s are purple, and that sort of thing, and then you can have them do it like that. They really are just paint markers, and so if you want to have it as like a crafty activity too, then students like to paint, and it usually is a pretty easy cleanup. My kids love these, and they would use them all the time if I let them. But again, I have these specifically for school time, so they're not really a play craft, which I think makes them a little more special when I pull them out for school, and the kids get a little more excited about it. So that's one. Moving along as far as like crafts and arts, I think that a whiteboard is really fantastic to have with young learners because they love writing on them, they love coloring on them, and they're relatively inexpensive. You can purchase them at the dollar store for sure, and the dollar store has them where they have like the alphabet on the top and the bottom. This is a kit that I purchased, so I have several of them that came, I think they came in a kit of 10 with some erasers. But if you don't want to purchase the erasers, you can just use an old rag, and I find that like old rags are almost better than the little cube erasers because it covers a larger surface and those little hands can erase a lot faster. Or as the teacher, I can just go around my class of 8 students and just erase really fast, and everyone can have a fresh, clean slate relatively quickly. These are great for just penmanship practice, whether you're saying, you know, write your name or write the first letter of your name, or let's practice writing the letter A or the number 4, or you know, draw for cookies or whatever, and the kids really love to just write on whiteboards. Kind of along with that, I'll tell you my favorite whiteboard pen or marker are the Crayola washable whiteboards. They are my favorite because they come in lots of different colors. They erase really easily off of the page. Also, if you're using like sheet protector pages and you're putting pages inside sheet protectors, to use those as like a whiteboard or a dry erase type activity. I think that the Crayola brand erases really well. I have used this brand. It's called Quartet, I think. Is that what it's called? Anyway, Walmart sells them. They have this little eraser on the top and they're magnetic. I don't like these as much, although they do serve their purpose. And if you have one young learner, it might be good. But just as a word of caution, the tip right here, it kind of pushes down into the pen super easy. So if you have a young learner, sometimes they apply too much pressure onto the pen, and it'll push that tip all the way down into the pen, so then you can't use the pens anymore. So the eraser is really convenient and the kids like that, but I've noticed that I burn through these a lot faster than I do the Crayola ones. So just as a tip, I like the Crayola ones. No, this is not a sponsored commercial for Crayola. They don't even know I exist, but that's just my little tip or recommendation. All right. As far as more arts and crafts, let's talk about glue and preschoolers. Whether you choose to go with liquid glue or glue stick. Here's my 2 cents. Take it for what it's worth. I prefer liquid glue over a glue stick for the majority of my craft activities, whether I'm doing a cut and paste, or we do a lot of interactive notebooks in my preschool, so the students are doing a lot of cutting and pasting to practice those cutting skills and gluing skills, and so I end up using white glue a lot more because I just think it's cleaner and it's faster. So you might be thinking, well, don't you go through tons of glue because those kids will just squirt all of it onto their page? Probably if I did it that way, but here's my tip for you. I always use a styrofoam paper or plate, a styrofoam plate, or I'll get like a little square of aluminum foil, which is a lot cheaper than the styrofoam plates. And then I will put a squirt of glue on there, so they'll have like a little dollop of glue, and I'll give them a glue stick, aka a Q-tip. And then they can use that Q-tip to apply the glue where they need to. I find that it sticks really well, sometimes better than the glue stick, because sometimes my kids don't apply enough of the glue stick. Also with the glue stick, I burn through glue sticks like water in my preschool because the students will twist it so that there's like this much glue stick, and then they'll try and apply it all on their page. And it takes a lot of coaching and a lot of oversight on a teacher's part to make sure that that doesn't happen. So you might be sitting there thinking, Kaylin, it's just a matter of training. Train those kids to use the glue sticks properly. Yes, that's true, but even with training, I feel like I go through a lot more glue with a glue stick than I do with the liquid glue. So I just choose to use liquid glue more frequently. Now, that being said, with my interactive notebooks, we do use glue sticks because it's just a faster method of cut and paste for an everyday activity. But whenever I have a craft or something where we're going to be gluing something down officially, or whatever I'm trying to say, craft glue, or excuse me, liquid glue is the way to go. And tip, make sure you give them a glue stick instead of just doing like glue dots, because the glue stick will give them the independence and it'll save on that glue, the quantity of glue that you're using. So those are some other things you can have in your toolbox. All right, moving along. Little bowls. These are bowls that I got from IKEA. You can purchase them online. They're just plastic children's bowls. And I use these to divide up supplies for students, either when we're doing a craft or we're doing some kind of letter game or a puzzle piece or something like that where I've like made a puzzle. I will put all of their pieces in their designated bowl color. That way they don't get confused with the other students. So if we're doing a craft that has a lot of pieces, so for example, let me reach over here just a minute. Here's an activity that had a lot of pieces to it. We had 3 sticks, we had eyes, we had a triangle. These are hand pieces. These were yellow legs, and then they had like this little, whatever that's called for the hen. All of those pieces I had pre-cut and put inside a bowl. And then I just passed the bowl out and said, okay, here are your supplies and your supplies and your supplies. So everyone's stuff was all together. And then when they went to actually glue their project, all they had to do was get the pieces, their pieces. And it wasn't any child trying to steal another piece. It's great for pre-work if you want to prep out an activity for a lot of students that are coming over. Or if you just have your own kiddo, maybe you have multiple ages that you're trying to just divide up pieces, then that really helps keep things organized. Also, anytime you have a cut and paste activity, you can have each student cut their pieces and then put them in the bowl once they're cut so that they don't lose any of those pieces. That way they'll be able to glue them onto their appropriate page, whatever, and everyone will have all of their pieces all in one spot. So as a preschool teacher's toolbox, I think it's really helpful to have these little cups or bowls, and it helps keep those divided really nicely. Okay, also just as it just came to me, you can use these as like a game. So if you have, pieces of whatever, puzzle pieces on the floor, and you say, okay, put all of the sound of A in this one and all the sound of B in this one, then you can play those types of games as well. All right, so those are a few things. What number are we on? I think I have 2, 3 left. All right. The next activity or toolbox tool takes a little bit of preparation on your part, but you will use it over and over and over again. And I call these my monsters, or you can give them a name like Feed Fred. So let me reach over here and grab them for you. I've talked about these before in a previous video, so this might be a repeat for you, but I have these 2 little animals that we use all the time when we're doing any kind of game for our letter recognition or our sound recognition and for numbers. And we're always feeding the monster. These are just, this one is a, what is this? Formula, whatever, baby formula case, and this one is a dishwasher pod case. Little whatever. So after it was finished up, I washed it out, and then I just made my little monster. I'll tell you really quick how I made it because it's really simple. So the teeth are just some like spare, this was actually quilt batting that I had that's left over, but you can use like felt or fleece or fabric or whatever you have. And then I just hot glued it around the edge of the lid. These are just cardboard pieces, and I cut them in like the shape of a light bulb. And I just hot glued those down on the top, and then I painted the eyes on it. On the inside here, right on that hinge, is a spare like scrap piece of that fabric to keep the lid from closing entirely. And then this is just a large piece of scrapbook paper. It was 12 by 12, and then I cut it down, and then I put decoupage all over it to kind of make it creative and fun. And you can make this themed, so you could do like green if you want to make a little alligator, or you can do whatever. I just chose some like colorful ones for fun. And then any game that you play, then you can have your student feed the monster or feed Fred or whatever, and you can lay out your pieces. So what kind of pieces are you laying out? Again, that's another toolbox piece that you for sure need to have. These are pieces that I've made, and I just put, I think I have like 6 of each letter in here, or letter sound, and then the students pick out, sorry, I was showing you the wrong thing. The students just pick out whatever letter I say. So I'll say, find something that starts with the H sound, and then they'll find, oh, this is a hamburger. And if they get it wrong, maybe I'll say, find something that has the t sound, and then they'll pick up a hamburger, and I say, is that a tamburger? And they'll be like, no, that's not a tamburger, it's a hamburger. Okay, well, what sound makes the sound? Okay, so that's kind of a little game that we like to play to get the sounds going. You can do it with flashcards. You can do it with like little manipulatives if you have counting bears, or gosh, the list is endless of little manipulatives that you can have. And then you can ask the student questions like, Fred wants 5 marshmallows. Can you feed him 5 marshmallows? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or you can say, can you find the letter A? Or anyway, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do with feeding Fred, and then the student can just stick it inside, and it's kind of fun for them. You can bounce it up and down, make eating noises. You can make the animal talk, all that kind of good stuff. There's lots of fun things that you can do with Feed Fred, and it's just a fun little manipulative to have when you are teaching those letter sounds, okay? Let's see. Here's another toolbox tip you can add to your toolbox is a inexpensive cookie sheet. This one I purchased at Walmart and it was less than $1. So you can get a bunch of these and it's super cheap. And then these are just like pom-poms with magnets glued. I hot glued the magnets onto the back. If you buy the pack of pom-poms, then you get like 50 pom-poms for $1 or something like that. The expensive thing is the magnets, but you can get them on Amazon. And then you can use lots of different activities to have the student magnetize these pom-poms to identify it. So if you need to, I don't know, just look on Pinterest or on Teachers Bay Teachers. There's all kinds of craft stuff that you can do with these. These also make really great art trays if you're using watercolors or painting, because it'll keep that excessive water from getting onto your table. So we use these kinds of things all the time, and they're great to have in your preschool teaching toolbox. All right, I think I have 2 more quick things that I'll show you that you can add to your toolbox. If you don't have craft sticks in your preschool teaching toolbox, then you'll want to for sure get those. But just as a teaching tool, you can glue these. I just put them on cardstock and I actually taped them onto my craft sticks. And these are really great. They're just numbers, and you can have the student answer questions or whatever with sticks and showing up numbers. Sometimes it's just kind of fun, especially if you have several students, like a preschool or a daycare that you're doing. Then you can show a number of whatever, counting bears on the floor, how many do I have? And then the students can hold it up. Or if you're doing like math problems with older students, 1 + 1 equals what? And then you find the answer, it equals 2. And they can hold up those sticks. So I always have craft sticks in my toolbox too, and we pull those out randomly when I'm looking for an activity to do. All right, the last toolbox supply that I'm gonna show you is my Storyboard or flannel board story pieces. And this is actually something that I've only recently added to my toolbox, and I have fell in love with it so much that I'm almost making everything into a flannel board because my students love it and I love it, and it's just something to kind of mix up the day. I use it mostly for stories, but you can use it in all aspects of teaching. So let me show you really quick. So first of all, you make a flannel board similar to the one that I have here. This is just flannel or fleece. You can choose any of the two. And then I purchased this particular material at Walmart as an iron-on. So it was just the fabric. And then this is just one of those sheets, whatever, boards that you can buy at Walmart. They're really inexpensive. So this is a corkboard, whiteboard duo. But I used the back here and I adhered that fleece to the back. So you can use hot glue. This, like I said, was an iron-on, and I just ironed it onto the back of that. And then I secured it with some duct tape just around the edges so that I had this whiteboard or whatever, this fleece board for my flannel board stories. Then I was making flannel boards, and my old way of doing it was just really labor intensive, and I didn't like it until I stumbled upon this new way to make it. So I'm going to share this new way because it was life-changing for me. I discovered it through whoever, I don't know, but what you do is you're going to get iron-on or adhesive printing paper. So it's the kind of paper that you can buy. Avery makes it, is a certain brand, but there's lots of different brands, and you can buy them at Walmart or on Amazon. And it's the paper that you iron transfer a picture from your printer onto like a bag or a t-shirt or something like that. So it's an iron transfer printable page. And then on your Word document, you're just going to put whatever it is you want to make into a flannel board. So you can do the letters of the alphabet, you could do numbers, or you could do storyboard characters, which is what I did. So here I have just a bunch of storyboard characters for the story, The Little Red Hen. And in telling the story, we then can use these pieces instead of taping them onto a board or something like that. And they stick super great just to the board. You just stick them up there, right? It's so easy. So you print it out onto your printer, and then you'll want to make sure that you flip the direction of the picture because it prints out backwards. But anyway, and then you iron transfer it onto just a piece of felt, which is less than $1 when you buy those at like craft stores, or I think even some Walmarts might sell them. And then you just stick them up on your board, cut them out, stick them up, and it takes less than 5 minutes to put together an entire storyboard. And if you do them with letters, then it's really cool because you can stick them up on there, and maybe you have letter sounds that are felt as well, and then it just becomes this interactive flannel storyboard. And it's just super fun, and I really like it. So as a teacher of young ones, I would definitely encourage everyone to have this in their teacher's toolbox, because the kids love it, and you can keep it up as a visual throughout the duration of your lesson, and it just really is an easy way to have a visual in your classroom. Let me just double check to make sure I got everything. I'll mention this really quick as a toolbox, although it's more of, I don't know, I guess it counts as a toolbox. But I really love doing interactive notebooks with my preschoolers. I love the scissor skill that it creates. I know that you can buy just like pages that have scissor practice where the students cut from like the school bus, take the child to the school bus, or the apple to the basket, and they just like cut on those like lines. And I think that that's a great way to start, but for me, I just like to give my students more purpose in cutting. So I make them cut their alphabet notebooks, and then as the year goes on, we can see how their cutting improves. And they also get to glue what they cut into their books. So it makes kind of for a fun thing. Each letter, we do 3 activities a week. So each day we do 1 activity. So this was the letter T. Anyway, so the students are cutting out big squares, small squares. We make doors, and we cut and glue those types of things. And this is great for hand-eye coordination. It's great for motor skills. And it also covers that letter recognition if you're doing a letter interactive notebook, or if you're doing a like number notebook or a math notebook, then they get that number recognition as well. I think it's a great tool to have in your toolbox, just because you can practice so many different skills with 1 activity, and the kids think it's kind of crafty and fun, and you have a memorable saving piece that you can save at the end of your school year as to what your preschooler or kindergartner had finished. So I'm a huge fan of these types of interactive notebooks. They are all over the internet, and especially Teachers Pay Teachers has a lot that are relatively inexpensive. My only quick tip would be to find either 1 or 2 small packs if you're going to buy them, or find one that has lots of activities, like, I don't know, 12 or more activities, because the interactive notebooks can get repetitive if you only have 3 activities and every week you're rotating between those 3 activities. They can be a little bit repetitive. But if you've got lots of different activities, which I've made one that has lots of activities, I think mine has 12 or 13 activities. So it's good to rotate through those, and then the kids don't feel like they're doing the same thing every week. So that's kind of just a side tip for that. So anyway, I've covered several things that you can put in your preschool teacher's toolbox. And just by having these manipulatives on hand, you can come up with a myriad of activities and learning games kind of on the spot without having to do a lot of prep work. And I end up doing that a lot for the preschools that I teach, is that we'll think the night before, okay, well, what are we going to do? Let's feed Fred. So let's get a bunch of whatever letter it is we're working on, and we'll make a game out of it. And then you can play that game for 5 to 15 minutes and really practice the letter sound or the number really well, and the kids think it's kind of a fun game. So these are just some tips and tools. Hopefully you have found 1 or 2 of them that you can bring into your classroom and get your kids learning and teaching, because it really is such a fun age to be learning with your kids and teaching your kids, and anybody can do it. So if you've liked this video or you found something good out of it, give me that thumbs up. And I'll just mention, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel and you're new here, welcome. I do lots of homeschooling videos and teaching tips and tricks. So if you're interested in that kind of content, you can go ahead and subscribe to this channel, because I do put out videos frequently, and you can get some new content every week. We'll talk to you in another video. Bye, guys.